evening, everyone, and welcome once again to our program Tea Positive with me, Chami. And as promised, we have an interesting guest today as well. We live in very uncertain times today, and I think we must take a moment and also think of our brothers and sisters who are suffering in India today, and keep them in your prayers. They're our closest neighbor, and it's hit very close to home, and they're facing a very bad humanitarian crisis today. So on that note, let's bring in a little bit of positivity with our next guest. And she's fantastic, she's funny, she's witty, she's outspoken, and she's Varuni Amunugama.
Hi,
Welcome
Chami.
on the show, Varuni.
Thank you very much.
How have you been today?
Good. But at the same time, the topic that you brought up,
Yeah.
I think it is very relevant, and in the manner, in the tone that you spoke, I really appreciate it, because never gilunat ban chunne e ape hatti. So, including me, we still think, okay, nothing bad is going to happen in Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
because this is a blessed land,
Yes.
no matter what. And I was watching our army commander on news. Even he said, කවදාවත් අපි පැරදිලා නැහැ. අපි යුද්ධෙ දින්න. මේ පාරත් අපි ජය ගන්නවා කියලා. So that was very heartening. But at the same time, I was watching this lady Barkadat, the NDTV presenter, and it was really amazing. And I think it is interesting. It's an interesting point for our viewer, because sometimes we in Sri Lanka, especially a certain type of person, the privileged people, feel that this is not going to affect them, or they will have access to all the solutions, medical help, everything. She says she is a upper middle class Indian, she is rich. And being a news presenter, she has all the connections. So she never thought accessing an ambulance or a ICU bed was ever going to be her problem. And then she was actually tearing on camera, and then she lost her father. And then she said she realized everybody is vulnerable. Humanity is vulnerable. So the fact that you spoke to our viewers and said it's within ourselves, how sensitive we are to each other, how we would be prepared to help each other, and where we ourselves will kind of protect ourselves, protect our people, protect our environment, do our thing, to help the cause and help the country, I think is important.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I think sometimes we lose our sense of collective responsibility. And yes, the government does have a responsibility. Yes, the health services do have a responsibility. The first responders, they all have a responsibility, but so do we. And it is a virus.
It's no boundaries or
does.
borders.
It has no boundaries, no borders, and it is an unknown and unseen enemy. Right, so you and I are all vulnerable to it, and I
Thank God for the distance.
I know, I know, and we should be very careful about and support the services that are, on our behalf. They're on the front lines, putting their families aside. They're at home, staying away from their families. So at least out of respect for that, we take care of and we make sure that our collective responsibility we adhere to. So, tell us. Now, who is Varuni Amunugama?
I think I'm discovering myself.
But that's a fantastic response, actually.
Every morning I wake up and I'm, who am I? No, but essentially I would like to think that I am an open book.
Correct.
I am a very grounded person, I think, and a lot of people throw this at me whenever I address a forum or share thoughts. They're like, oh yeah, so easy for you to say because you've had things easy. I always say yes, probably so, and I'm very, very grateful for it. But with that comes a sense of responsibility. And a sense that where you think, yes, you've had it good, you've had it easy, so therefore you have to be more responsible to actually share what you have and live by example, and also make this country a better place in whichever way you can, because we have got so much from this country, no, Chami? If only we wake up every morning thinking, this was actually my father who taught me. He said, if we have a roof over our heads, if we have a warm meal, if we have friends and family caring for us, and if we are healthy, we are super rich. So wake up every morning, look at yourself in the mirror and say, thank you, I'm so grateful for my life. And this sense of gratitude, I think, is the basis. I think you and I come from backgrounds where our parents have always inculcated that. You know, very, very Sri Lankan, kind of very traditional upbringing, where we were taught to respect our elders, share what we had. I still remember my second mother is a lady called Leela who looked after me from the age of 6 months. And I remember she used to always favor me. I have a sister and my sister used to be furious. And if we ever even had a slab of chocolates, what we shared with Leela, she would save and slowly give it back to me. But the point there was my father used to always say, whatever you have, even food, you have to share it with whoever who is there. So now that as an adult, I understand what he was trying to say. It was never to be self-centered or selfish and consume everything for your own benefit. That is probably the kind of learning that today's generation, for whatever the reason, maybe the parents didn't bother to inculcate, or they thought, okay, they grow up in a very Sri Lankan environment, so they will understand. But maybe I think we are lucky because our parents set certain standards, certain examples, and they lived that way.
I think it's an interesting point you bring in, Varuni. A lack of empathy is what I feel that has not been inculcated in this younger generation. Whether it be from the family background or even in school, we had a process where we were trained to even do social work. And that has kind of, led me down whatever path that I take. I always have that at the back of my mind. And that lack of empathy, I think, there's a lot of selfishness and self-driven. It's just you, and it's me, and I go to my next point from there, because I've listened to a lot of your interviews. I've read a lot of your interviews, and a lot of times you focus on the word team. You never focus, like, even when whoever is asking you the question asks you, so you have done this, you have achieved this, and you always, the first thing you say is, it's not me. We have a team, it's we. And even your motto, API.
Yes.
That's what drives the company forward. And for me, that has been, it's amazing to hear you say that, because many people who are at the standing that you are at will not acknowledge that. Though they have teams behind them. So where do you get this from, and how has that helped you in your personally as well as your business?
Genuinely, I believe in this word team. Team is different to group, technically.
Yes.
If you're a team, everybody works towards a shared vision. Everybody must understand the purpose of what they are doing. So when I look at my career, say if you are looking at the company, we started way back in 1993 as an advertising company. The reason why we started was because we thought ideas we could share with the, in a kind of a sense where we can build local brands and use our ideas to create wealth for these local brands. So in turn, the money will stay in Sri Lanka as opposed to it being taken off by other principals or global brands. But this concept of team came actually from a very Sri Lankan home front, a family. So where every family member has a role to play. Otherwise, this family can't thrive. So even if you convert that into a corporate sense, there is a role for everybody. There is self-worth for everybody. And you and I, when we were talking before, we were talking about the flat hierarchy in our group. There are definitely team leaders who kind of drive the vision, because you have to have leadership. But at the same time, everybody can have a say. Everybody has an opinion, and that is shared. And most importantly, now today there's a lot of dialogue about equality and women given their place, all of that. To me, all these are very hacked Western concepts. Now, we try to practice a very indigenous kind of setup, again, a very familial kind of setup, where even the women are respected. I'm not saying there aren't overtures made by boys or girls bullying boys in that sense. I mean, that is natural when you work very closely together. But our main principle is you should not insult, bully, or make somebody feel uncomfortable. You must always think, what if that happens to you? So that's really the yardstick. So if you don't want to be treated in a certain way, bad way, you should not inflict that on somebody else. There's a lot of, in companies, lot of favorations and tail carrying and unnecessary creation of problems. How we have managed it is we discourage that. If anybody tries to carry a tail, we bring both parties concerned and say, okay, you talk about it openly. Then you find over time that habit drops. So there are little, things like that which we have used, little maybe learnings which we have shared. At the end of the day, I have found what really works is that shared vision. If everybody feels that, they are respected, they are protected, and we also have this belief, Chami, that you need to work, yes, but you work to maintain, look after, and build your family. So even in our culture, you put your maximum, you do really well at work, but your quality time, you've got to get home and spend it with your family. Because at the end of the day, the reason why you're working is your family. So these very Sri Lankan values have been inculcated, introduced into even the young minds. And this is something very interesting. A lot of people talk about the next generation, handing over the baton, and what about succession? Now in our setup, actually we invited, because it was Dilith and I who actually started the company with Ishini originally. So there wasn't really a third person who came in as a shareholder. Then we found this young guy who's 10 years younger than us, Sarva Amarasekara, who's an engineer by profession. He's not a communications guy. But what we found in him that was very common to the two of us was his values, his ethos, his love for people, humanity, and his affection and patriotism, which is key. So we invited him onto the board and made him a shareholder. And to be honest, today we've handed over a lot of management to him, because we understand that now with every era, there are different leadership skills. So our time was really good. It's fine. We can still be the elder people around.
Oh, you don't look like you can be an elder person.
That's because of the behavior. it's not very, it's below good. But so Sarva is very approachable and amenable, and a lot of younger people can identify with him. But the value set is the same. So, I mean, even my advice to corporates or entrepreneurs, because a lot of entrepreneurial establishments die off, or they sell the companies to other bigger enterprises with different sets of values. So it is good to hand over the mantle at the right time, so that there's longevity and continuity of these inherent values that you have set as the foundation.
Now that brings me to another question. Usually people say, it's interesting now, Dilith and you were batchmates, if I'm not mistaken, right? So people usually say, don't mix business with friendship, because it never works out. So how did you guys manage this? It's not that you guys have been doing this for 5-7 years. You have been doing it for 28 years, right? And that's half a lifetime, right? So how has this, you've not only built a successful business, but you've thrived at it and you continue it. And like you said, this continuity, like the fact that you guys are on the same wavelength, right? But how have you managed this?
Being a benevolent manipulator. No.
So Dilith has been subjected to
manipulated. No, but the truth of it is, I think we are very similar because there is no ego at play. Fantastic. That is the number one factor. Second thing is, none of us are profit driven. We are purpose driven as opposed to profit driven. And the third thing is, there is a lot of trust, there's a lot of belief, and we really are committed towards one cause, which is the country. And I think that is really looking at it in a very corporate sense. Right. But there's a very personal aspect to it also. Because if you take Dilith's wife, Nelum, or Rohan, my husband, most of the time they are the unsung heroes. Because they don't really get spoken about in this bigger equation, because it's the corporate success that we talk about. Yes. But if Nelum and Rohan didn't play that supportive or encouraging, strengthening roles, we probably would have had domestic issues. Right. Now, in this case, none of that happened because of the belief, the trust, and the kind of, we all are very similar in that sense. Our vision, everybody is patriotic, we love this country, and all of us want everybody to be happy. And I think the theme of today, that positivity is, I think, what we share. So it is a very shared overall, whether it's domestic, corporate, national, whatever. I think the underlying success is this positive thinking and shared growth.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you brought in both your spouses, because usually, when a corporate, in a corporate or in government, if a man does well, the woman is praised and talked about and said, it is because the woman manages the household is that the man is able to do this. It's very rare that when you've been so busy, your husband being agreeable to all of that and being okay with all of that.
Can I tell a secret?
Yes.
He's not agreeable all the time. What that is, again, I think very important for girls.
Right.
Right? Life is not easy. If you are in a relationship and if you want to make it work, then there are a lot of compromises, sacrifices, and commitments that one has to make. Yes. Being a woman, I think what has worked is the fact that we bring out, I think, or we want to enrich the womanly qualities. Yes. I think we can tolerate more. We are more patient. Yes. Of course, my husband will disagree, but our reactions are very muted in that sense. And in a way, we can manage, we can handle a lot of stress. So even if there are issues, we may not shout out, blurt out things, go for confrontations, and make that relationship difficult. We would probably back down at that point in time, but at the correct time, bring up that issue so that we can resolve it. So in that sense, I think these partnerships, when you look at whether it's a husband or wife, that familial partnerships, a woman has a distinct role to play, a man has a distinct role to play. We shouldn't try to mix it. I mean, I shouldn't try to be the man in the house, and he shouldn't try to be the woman. Yes. That is why Sri Lankan families, the bonds, the ties work, because we each understand the contribution we make to that relationship. And why I'm saying this is, now, for example, I mean, one of the key reasons I think why my marriage worked, if I say it very openly, if you're a career woman, you also have a life where you need to entertain, you need to, interact, meet, another sub-life where you need to grow your business, all of that. All that is true, but I think you have to be mindful. Right. You have to always think, okay, how will that affect my marriage? Yes. What is the priority? I have always tried to include my husband into these after work engagements. Right. I have always opted to go as his spouse for functions as opposed to, going on my own. Of course, I'm really privileged and grateful that my two partners, Dilith and Sarva, understood the role of a woman. Right. And they would probably represent the company. Rather than saying, okay, you need to sacrifice your home time and come. So that way I probably am a lucky one, but the reason for that is the openness, Chami. If there is ever an issue which I'm uncomfortable with, I'm the type of person who will bring it out. I will speak about it, maybe not immediately if I'm upset or hurt, but even later, because I don't believe that I should suffer in silence.
Yeah, this is true. I think a lot of people, a lot of us sometimes do this whole suffering in silence, and then we expect the other person to understand what's going on, but sometimes they may not even, they will just be oblivious to all of it, and then
especially of the opposite sex, because the way
Yes.
they think and with the way we think is so completely different. We are drama queens, out and out.
Absolutely. And yes, on that note,
And half of it is imagined, right?
yes.
So at least if we speak it out, then there are better chances of
Yes,
solving.
I must say I'm very guilty of that. And yeah, if you talk to the right person, then they'll probably tell you, yes, she is a drama queen. But yeah, interesting. Zero capital is how you started your company, right? Did the name Amunugama help in any way when you, because of who you are and...
Not to get any capital.
Right.
But you are right in the sense that Amunugama, because of my father, he had been in the government service. Of course, he became a politician at the age of 50. And living in Colombo, we had a good network of friends, colleagues, people, all of it. So in the company that we started, advertising was the trade, business would come in from brands. From companies which had brands. So to get in that first introduction, I still remember when I would just call, if I say Varuni, there would be a slight pause. And like, oh God, who's this person now? But if I would say I'm Varuni Amunugama, at least there was the second word saying, oh, hello. You know, they were curious to know what the next step was. So in that sense, yes, doors did open. There were opportunities for us to go and present ourselves. So in that sense, yes, being an Amunugama definitely helped, and I'm not even shy to say that. I'm grateful for that. But our work is what made us successful. If we went and presented crap, and if we went and didn't deliver on our service offering, it wouldn't have grown. Our business couldn't have grown. Our business relationships couldn't have grown. So it was purely our work, our commitment, and I think our integrity. Right. When we would go and say, look, we are law students, because we started the company when we were law students, and we would say, look, we are law students, and while being in campus, we are doing something like this because this is our vision. Right. Let us share our ideas with you, give us a chance. There were people who helped us, whether it was with Mr. Palitha Dilivera Tennakon, I still remember him with gratitude, Mr. Prema Kure, who helped us, Awaitkon Spence. You know, there were people like the Mr. Godwin Pereira, there were people like that, even Mr. Ashraf Omar, he was the one who gave us the first big project, you know, during Expo. I mean, they gave us a chance. And that was not really because of my name. Right. It was purely because I think they trusted us first, and then we delivered on our promise.
And what you brought to the table.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
So yeah, I think that shows in all of your work. I mean, some of the campaigns are brilliant. And I think where your success is, yes, you guys are patriotic and all of that, but you understand the local pulse. You are fully local, you are a fully local company, and your employees
and we are proud to be there.
Yes.
And also, Chami, all the team members are not typically of the industry.
Right.
So they are people from all walks of life in this country. So when they come on to the team and we all, brainstorm and share ideas, these are the real consumers who actually buy those brands. Or they are the people in the deepest corners of this country. They know what it is like. So those experiences are shared, and that is where we mine these insights. Now, for example, if you take Api Venuwen Api campaign, I think the whole country remembers that. The client only wanted a vacancy ad.
Right.
To increase cadre.
Cadre, yeah.
But we realized the actual insight at that time was every Sri Lankan household had somebody close to their hearts fighting the war. And if people were going to join the forces, because we needed to increase the cadre, because this was almost a clarion call, last battle to win, last push forward. It was going to be some reason other than a job. Because honestly, nobody wanted to come in a body bag.
Yes.
Right? But the strength would help us to win faster. So we found when we were doing this insight mining that every Sri Lankan household had somebody of theirs fighting the war. So this අපි වෙනුවෙන් අපි අදහස ආවේ එතන because ඒ වෙන පිට කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි යුද්ධ කරන්නේ. අපිමයි අපි වෙනුවෙන් යුද්ධ කරන්නේ and because there the social insight was if something happens to our neighbor we have to be truthful. No? We are not as affected as if we ourselves are affected. You know, something happens to us. So the no sooner we brought in that idea, people realized, my gosh, this is our own kith and kin. We have to support them. We have to respect them. We have to give them that strength to win this battle, free this country of terrorism. So more than just a communication campaign, it moved the nation. You know, it became this main, like the main peg or the main clarion call, national call, to get all the citizens together to say, okay, we are going to do it. Api venuwen api isarahata yanawa api meka dinanawa adatat ape the army commander says the same thing. No, we will never lose. So it was that spirit that was created in the campaign, and honestly, it was a whole bunch of people who brought these thoughts together. It wasn't just one person. The insight, original insight actually came from Dilip. Then Nayanananda. He was the guy who actually wrote the words because it was so beautiful words. You know, the ape keki, siya dahasaki, vachana pela. But say for example, if the media companies didn't support this effort. 1 billion worth of free media was given by all the media stations. That is why every day we could hear this ad over 10-20 times. Because we kept hearing it only, even the children started singing this. That became almost an anthem. But it is because this team of Sri Lankans all came together, you know, for one cause. That is really the symbolicism, or that if you look at one ideology, that's what it is. Where the whole country comes together, where even Itukama, that's a new campaign we did very recently, and little nuances in that which, you know, creative guys, teams bring together in that. At one point, I don't know if you remember, the nurse has to leave. Her child is crying. She's a feeding mother, but she can't feed him. So the father becomes a mother, but he can't breastfeed. So he is giving a bottle of milk. I mean, that cannot supplement in any way. But that was that hook. Or the doctor coming home after a hard days of work and serving or saving the people. His child worships him, but he can't even say,
bless the child.
He can't bless the child. So, you know, those little human realities were what made that campaign effective and close to the hearts. That's what the team brought together because the team feels part of this issue, part of this problem, because actually one criteria if they work in our group is that you have to love this country. You know, if just coming with, I mean, okay, new age I understand, but coming up with all these Western crap, influenced by social media, meaningless, baseless, just aping what the West has done, copying and pasting it. That is not how we work in our company. You have to feel it. You have to be one of the people who, you know, who's going to be part of this whole exercise.
Interesting you brought in social media, because just yesterday I was just, after work I went home really late and I was scrolling through Facebook. And all I saw was a lot of people, because a lot of people on my Facebook page are Colombo liberals.
Oh my God.
And so,
the Colombians.
Yes. And so a lot of what I saw was this video of traffic being stopped because the Chinese delegation was coming to the VIP delegation. And I think in some places they were stopped for about 40-45 minutes. But I was thinking, now I'm someone who's lived in New York, who has seen this happen during the General Assembly. But I would not dare to complain about it if I was in New York. Right now, one good thing I've seen that has happened with this government is not even the president closes the roads when he travels, and I think that's such a relief. It's such a relief. Now, during the war times, you understand it must be done because certain VIPs were attacked and all of that. But you know, it was put to a stop by this government. And instead of appreciating that, yesterday all I saw was like, we were stuck in traffic for 45 minutes. Now I'm thinking it's a VIP delegate from another country.
And even at this most crucial moment, who comes to Sri Lanka?
Who comes to Sri Lanka during
which is
a
very,
pandemic?
very important.
Yes.
Right? But the point there is, the actual patriotic, positive Sri Lankans never made that comment. They never added to that. If you look at, when you go to Facebook, there is a truth, strange truth, right? When you look at the negative comments, there are people who spew hate, they spread negativity, absolute falsehoods, and they thrive on hurting people by damaging their reputation for no reason. They don't know them. Yeah. But if you go to their profiles, this is a good exercise, Chami. If you go to their profiles and check, there is a commonality. These are born losers. They have not been gainfully employed. They are living off their spouses or parents or whoever, so they are not really contributing to this country. And there is some unhappiness within them. They are disgruntled. They feel the world owes them something.
Right.
But they haven't got it. So these unhappy, negative people, every day they wake up and they think social media is their playground to create mayhem, create hatred, division, and unhappiness. There is a commonality in all these people who are constantly spreading negative messaging. Yeah. They are losers and they are unhappy within themselves. I feel sorry for them. Because, to be honest, they need help. Yeah. Right? Positive thinking, if you really look around, I am not a card-carrying member of any political party, but I am a firm believer and I actually adore Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa for few reasons. One is, yes, we won the war because of him. Today, everybody and their grandmother is claiming, we could have done this, we could have done that. But none of them did it. He led from the front. Even today, after becoming the president, he lives a simple life. He doesn't flash. He doesn't overspend. He lives even during the New Year, I saw again on Facebook, how humble and simple he and his wife, they've just gone to their pantry and they're boiling the milk rice. I mean, that's just like you, me, everybody else. Yeah. He has set a new example of leadership and he is a patriot. Every decision, now there are a lot of people who say, oh, you know, his policies are rash. It has to be thought through. But look at that turmeric policy. Right? At that time, people said, oh, there will be so many issues. Right. What's going to happen? All of that. Yeah. But he realized, we being Sri Lankans, if we are given any leeway, any lead time, we will not change. Yes. We will drag our feet towards the end. Yeah. A friend of mine, Dilith was saying, a good friend of his who owns Vijaya Spices. First, he had been very upset about this, you know, not having turmeric. What are we going to do? Finally, he was forced to source turmeric from local farmers. And today, he is making more profit. He is making better quality products because he has to add only a smaller quantity of turmeric. And because our local turmeric is better in quality. And today, we don't even have it. We are in excess of that. Yeah. So, true, there are few harsh decisions he's taken. Immediately, it might not be popular, it might not even be easy. But I think the general public, not the naysayers, but the genuine, positive Sri Lankan understands where he's coming from and what his long-term vision is. Yeah. I mean, I think it is despicable at this point in time where the opposition is calling up all these diplomats of Western countries and briefing them about what? And what have they helped us with? Nothing. No investments, nothing. And all they can do is complain. And you can see they just want a regime change. And these people are grumbling about just stopping traffic because the Chinese defense secretary has come here. I think it's an honor that he has chosen to come.
That some world leader is coming
to
Sri Lanka.
And we want China's support. So what? Right? America will need China's support soon. That's where it is going. They are going to be the superpower. So why should we be with the superpower?
I think even today, interesting you said that, because President Biden, I think in his statement last evening, said that this next century is going to be a battle between the US and the China, and so we have to keep on par with them. So
it's a battle,
as
well as them being interdependent on each other economically.
Yeah.
So there are so many other ramifications that we here might not even notice. And that's another interesting point, Chami. Now, America is the seat of democracy, right?
Right.
But today, they are scared. People are scared to even speak freely in their own homes. Black Lives Matter, what does that even mean? It was a political slogan. But today, the present government has to grapple with that.
Yes.
Because similar action, protests are taking place because they encourage that. Where there should be discipline. They broke that. Now they have to face it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you brought out this Black Lives Matter, and another cause in the US is where the police brutally, beat up this little kid, and he was convicted recently. But I have friends from the States as well, but most of the status updates came from Sri Lankans on Black Lives Matter. And I thought that was really funny because I was like, where, how, like,
no, it's the same. Any darn movement which makes the least sense. Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, all these are sexy slogans. Okay, fine. Be knowledgeable, be exposed. But think about our own country. And Chami, the point is, our local people, there is a small issue, especially the neoliberals in Colombo. They want to do big things, big projects, and big initiatives.
Right.
That's crap. Do something small. Do whatever you can. Even if you're going to feed your neighborhood, that is fine. Do whatever little that you can. If I just give you a few examples. My friend Sulochana Sigera.
Yes. She was our first guest on the show, by the way.
Perfect. Because okay, she has women in management. She has this organization. That's fine. But her thinking, where she has now recently introduced the soup kitchen.
Yes.
Where she is giving a warm meal to the needy. She is not waiting for a government handout. She sees the need. She's bringing her network together. She's actually actioning it.
Yes.
You take somebody like even Sarinda Unambu of MAS. I mean, he's a nature lover.
Right.
He believes in sustainability. While he is pushing to bring in policy, he, together with MAS, they are doing certain things. Now, recently I read where they have done this ocean strainer, where the garbage is being collected without it going. I mean, these people are doing things that they can. I respect those people because even Unity Mission, Mr. Bertel, Pinto Jayawardena and the wife Shama, I mean, they are uniting people, bringing kids from all over the country, having, gatherings, sharing language. These are positive Sri Lankans because they're actually actioning things. If you look around on social media, there are two groups. One, where they criticize, crib, complain, and I mean, I have absolutely no respect for them because they are basic losers. And if this country is not good, they should just pack up and leave. They don't even go. And the ones who have gone contribute their best and come here to die. That's another lot. Then there is another set who use social media for positive things. They get people together, they create a network, they do activities, they talk positive things because they believe in this country. They believe in the goodness of this. I mean, I just cannot understand, honestly, I'm not very popular with the young people when I say this, but I think we need to control the social media to some extent, especially misinformation. I'm so glad there is legislation now. Even today, other day, and I saw some guy who has been spreading misinformation has got booked. That's the only language. We can use information technology. We have access to the latest information technology, the technologies and artificial intelligence, whatever. We have all of that. We should use it to ensure that we minimize negativity in communication and share positive thoughts because honestly, our country seriously, when you look around, I mean, people have traveled abroad, all of it, and there are some people who, whatever we have in this country is not good enough, but whatever little trickle that happens in another country seems so big. I mean, you can only feel sorry for them because you just wonder, why are they even here?
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. I'm now going to move on to a little bit of a different, less serious topic. Your relationship with your father, you've always spoken of him very fondly, and he has been a huge influence in your life. I have a lot of respect for him. He's an academic, he's professional, and he's from an era of politicians, if I may say so, that is not like the current era of politicians. And he has earned his respect, and I think that's very important. Tell us a little bit about how we know the public personality, but how was he as a father? And he had 2 girls, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. How was he as a father?
Yeah, because I think probably it'll resonate with you because, you know, you're so close to your father. He was actually a brother, a friend, everything to my sister and I. And sometimes we are unfair because we talk less of our mother. But probably it's that quiet role that she played which allowed him to be this hero.
Right.
But he was definitely the hero in our family. Okay. And the nicest thing is his positivity, Chami. Yeah. I remember going to school. I mean, every morning my sister and I would get ready to go to school and he'll be shaving. He's not even looking at us. Right. And we would go and say, how do we look? And he would, now he's not looking at us. He said, Puta, you're the best. You can do whatever you want. You know, you are going to be there was so much of freedom to do whatever we wanted. Right. But he was always so positive and so encouraging. You know, there are many times when my sister and I can remember at one point I said, I can't do A-levels, it's too tough. And then, you know what he did? He used reverse psychology. He was very clever. He said, that's okay, Putta. Everybody doesn't need to be academically qualified. You don't even need to go to university. That is quite okay. Me, Aki and I have done it. But you may be that one person in the family who doesn't make the mark. Right. It's quite okay. We still love you. I mean, that is the perfect challenge you can give a young girl. Yeah. Because in your mind, you're like, I don't want to be second best. Yeah. You know, so and it was through love. Yeah. There was a lot of demonstrative affection. He used to always say, okay, Ammi can discipline. I will be the person who will show affection. Yes. And he was so fond of us. Even today, my sister is in her 50s. I am in my 50s. But we are so close to our father. My mother passed away. So it's just the 3 of us in that sense, of course, with Rohan. But still, you know, we will hug him. We will sit on his lap. He will feed us. And every other day, every day we will speak to him over the phone. Every other day, my sister and I will visit him. And so much so that we tell him, okay, come and now stay with us because he's 83 years old. Right. 83 going on 35. And he'll be like, are you crazy to be controlled by you all? No way. So I don't know, it's a very, very tough act to follow. Right. And a personality, like they call it a piripun charita. Yes. Because everywhere if I look back in my life, he's played a role, you know, even to do law. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Yes. The guiding part of it, encouraging, supporting, and everything is a joke to him. So life is a lot of fun. Yeah. You know, where he's like, don't take things seriously, Putta. Everything is nice, fun, be grateful, be happy. So there's a lot of energy around him. And now, I always think, you know, this personality, you know, how can others emulate, you know, how can, I mean, I see his character in different personalities. Right. In Rohan, I see part of him. Right. In Dilum, I see part of him. You know, different aspects. Yeah. But holistically, if you take, I mean, I'm really proud of him more than being a politician, more than being an international civil servant or a government servant, just the role he played as a father. Because I think, I don't know, to me, he has really been successful at that role. Right.
No, that's fantastic. It's wonderful to grow up in a household like that,
Oh,
where
yes,
you have
Chami.
such support of parents. I know this because we have 4 siblings, and all 4 of us have received so much love and care. Even today, like you said, I would still go and sit on Apache's lap and still, like, cuddle up, because for us, we are still
And you
his little
need
girls.
that.
Yes,
because I told you, when I
absolutely.
met him recently, and you were saying, he wouldn't have said anything good about me. I spoke to him for 2 minutes.
Right.
It was 100% about you. So positive, and they are so proud of what we have achieved, Chami.
Yeah.
That's what my father used to always say, tell parents. Most of the Sri Lankan parents are very proud. They do what's right. They are responsible, everything. But that one little ingredient that is essential to the child, which is showing your love, saying how much you value and how proud you are of your child.
Absolutely.
That talking part, sometimes parents feel is a kind of a weakness.
Right.
They shouldn't let the children see.
Yeah.
But my father was always of the opinion, no. The more you give that, more confident the kid would be.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And thank you for saying that to me, where, you met my dad and Apache, and Apache said good things about me. So I always tell my sisters.
The entire 2 minutes.
Entire 2 minutes. I tell my sisters and my brother also I'm the favorite child. So now this is proof.
So that part he didn't say.
But I'm just saying, he'll talk about me, but not about you guys. So I just bully them because I'm the oldest in the family. But we had a wonderful childhood growing up. So it's great. It's great. I know how important it is, and I'm glad you kind of highlighted that. I'm going to let you go soon. Just final 2 questions. Varuni Amunugama Fernando. Double barrel, right. Is outspoken, speaks her mind, does not hold back. And she's probably the only guest on this show who will say crap 3 times. I counted. Yes, that's
Is
fine.
that slang?
No, it's fine. It's all right. It's perfectly all right. But yes, Varuni Amunugama, have you ever got into trouble being this outspoken?
Probably, but me being me, I don't see it that way. They say, no, balana kone. So it doesn't strike me. I am happy.
Right.
And if I impart some kind of positivity, the other person also will respond in that same way.
Right.
And in a way, Chami, actually, I have been lucky.
Yeah.
Because it has always been very positive interactions.
Yeah.
And, where people are happy to be in that, environment and vicinity. And I enjoy people.
Right.
I enjoy being with them and helping them or sharing with whatever with them. And you know what, the nicest thing is sometimes people feel richness comes from things, money, your power. It's none of that. If people respond to you with affection and love and their time, then you're richer for it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. One final question. Any last words to our viewers? Because I think you have given them some fabulous advice and some, personal things that you have faced in your life and how you have overcome these challenges and how you have come out positively. But final words to anyone who's watching us.
I'm thinking it's probably a younger generation who's
Mostly,
watching because it's on social media. And my advice or just my thoughts, don't lose heart. You are lucky to have been born in the best country in the world.
Yeah.
But it is up to each of us to do something and make something of our lives and make the most of our lives. If we choose to sit back and complain, yes, it's a very dark life ahead. But if we choose to think differently, think positively, and always believe in the goodness and something better is out there, I honestly don't think we are going to get a better chance than today. We have the best leadership. Honestly, Chami, I am saying that from the heart. We have the best leadership to take this country to the next level, and leadership is important for that. This leadership will not sell out this country. They will uphold the integrity of the forces, the people who fought to keep this country united. Don't worry about what other people say. There will be many naysayers, there will be a lot of cribbers. Don't worry about that. Just think for yourselves. Am I lucky to be born in this country? What are the positive things that I have? If the positive things outweigh the negative, then always believe in a better tomorrow. It's all in here. Either we make it or we break it. It's nobody's fault or responsibility. It is our own, and we can control it from here.
So thank you very much, Varuni, for being on the show. I think you can't get more positive than that. I have nothing more to say. I think you've heard it all from Varuni Amunugama Fernando, double barrel.
Double barrel. In size and in name.
In size and in name. No, I don't think so. But I think if you look at her, you would never guess her age. Because you know why? Because she's a happy person. She's positive. Her vibes are positive, and all she talks about is positivity. So if you want to look younger without all the Botox and the surgeries, this is how you do it. And you can save a lot of money doing it also. So be positive. I think this program, today's show, has been great.
Thank you, Chami.
Thank you.
And it is rewarding. It is truly rewarding for me too.
There you have it. She has had a rewarding life because of the way she's lived her life. And I think we all go looking for her because of the kind of positivity that she generates. Just one last final request that we all, just a reminder, keep in mind the situation that the world is going through. We are living in uncertain times, and we have a collective responsibility. The government is doing all they can. Our frontliners are doing all they can, and it is our responsibility as well to ensure that we support them in any way that we can. And also keep in your thoughts and prayers our neighbor, India, because they are really going through a humanitarian crisis, and it's hit very close to home. Let us make sure that we play a role in ensuring that our country stays safe, but also keeping in mind every single person who's going through this, every single family that has lost a person, that has had a death in their family due to this virus. And let us pray for them, and let us ensure that we keep them in our prayers and our thoughts, and let's work collectively to protecting our nation from this pandemic. So thank you very much. I would like to thank Stewart by Citrus for giving us this wonderful location, and George Stewart Teas for sponsoring us, and our wonderful crew and team here. And once again, a final thank you to Varuni for being on the show and being such a positive influence.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our viewers.